阿弥陀佛，阿弥陀佛，世界各地的莲花童子们，大家早上好。
Greetings to all Padma Kumaras all over the world. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Today is the 20th of June, 2025. I am Dharma Assistant Chu Yun from Malaysia, Singdong chapter. And today's lesson will be conducted in 3 languages. You can switch between the 3 language channels.
好，今天我们的英语翻译员是林安法师。
Today our Indonesian interpreter is our brother Tu Cheng.
风会太大，我这个位置。
好，不好意思，上次你开到声音了。好，等一下哈，我再看一下。OK， 好，课程结束后呢，我们都会把3月
at the end of the lesson, the lessons in 3 languages will be uploaded to the YouTube channel of Tribhuvan Foundation's Education Department's YouTube channel, and you can also look at the YouTube. I will post the YouTube links in our chat window, in our chat. At the end of the lesson, there will be a Q&A segment. And whether you are watching over YouTube or over Zoom or Facebook, you can post your questions in the comment section, and they will be answered. And if due to time constraints, the questions cannot be responded to in time, then they will be answered next week. And next week there will be a pause in classes, and the next lesson will resume on the 4th of July, which will be about the kinds of offerings for Homas. So please keep an eye out for notifications in the messaging channels. So please keep an eye out for the notifications. And if you're not already in the messaging groups, let me share the links in the chat window right now so that you can join the group. And here, while we are waiting for everyone to come online, let me do an advertisement. There is a project currently, which is the online offering of katas, virtual katas, and well wishes or prayers to Grandmaster, and we can pray for Grandmaster's longevity and for Guru Buddha to remain the Saha. So there are only about 5 more days before the end of this project. So let me share the link here as well, and you will be able to let me share how you can go about doing this online offering of katas. So this on the screen, when you click on the link and you come to this web page, this is how it looks like, and the project is available in 3 languages. If you go to the Chinese version, you can enter your name, then just enter the country, and then you can begin. And here we can first recite silently in our hearts the Amitaya's heart mantra, and then recite silently in our hearts the White Tara mantra, and then silently recite in our hearts the heart mantra of Ushisha Vijaya Buddha Mother. And then just click continue, the red button to continue, and then you can also type in your birthday well wishes for Guru, and then visualize yourself presenting a virtual kata to Grandmaster. So we welcome all to take part in this project enthusiastically. And it's also connected to an offering to Sangha project that you can also participate in if you wish. If you would like to make an offering, a dana donation to Sanghas. And let's welcome all levels of Dharma propagators as well as all Dharma Kumaras around the world. If it's convenient for you, please turn on your video camera and also type in your Dharma name, rename your profile so that we can all get to know each other more. And first of all, I see Dharma instructor Yichai and also Dharma sister Jennifer and 莲花颜良 and 莲花丽生 and all the other Dharma brothers and sisters.
看到莲花秋娟助教你好，还有莲花小金，好，欢迎莲花文秀，还有莲花做人讲师，莲花孔明师姐，我们欢迎方广堂，还有华严雷藏寺的龙城助教，释莲追教授师阿弥陀佛，还有莲花美萍师姐，还有释莲口法师阿弥陀佛，莲花剑清师兄，莲花齐国，看一下。 好，那我们距离上课时间呢还有大约1分钟。今天呢这一节
There
课
is
我们
one
将
more
一起学
minute
习
before the start of the class, and today's lesson will be the first part of
今天的
chapter
内容非
3
常
on
丰富，
Homa,
大家记得专心聆
the
听，认真学
benefits
习。
and
那
qualities
如
of
果你在
Homa.
课程中有任何
And
启发，
during the
欢迎写
lesson,
下
if you
来，
have any
分享出来，可以分
insights,
享
you're
到我们
welcome
的 WhatsApp
to
群组，
share,
或
and
者
also
发
in the
在社交
WhatsApp
媒体，让
or
更多人一起
messaging
来参加我们的
groups
学
or
习
social
行列，
media,
或者是看
so
重
that you
播
can
也是
encourage
可以。
others
好，
to
可以在留言区。
take part or join in the lessons.
好，现在时间是8点整。
And the time now is 8 p.m. sharp.
好，请稍等一下，
So
我再看
please
一
hold on a
下。
little moment. Please hold on a moment. And
好的，现在时间来到8点整，我们就把时
without
间交
further
给授
ado,
课师，
let's
让我
hand
们
the
一
time
起
over
来
to our teaching
恭请
master
释莲英上师为我们授课。
and respectfully invite Master Shi Lianying to teach the lesson.
好，阿弥陀佛。我们首先敬礼，根本传承上师圣尊莲生活佛。
First of all, let's pay homage to our lineage root guru, His Holiness Living Buddha Liansheng,
真佛宗传承
to our True Buddha
大
School
日如来
lineage,
佛
Mahavairochana,
有佛母
Buddha Lochani Buddha Mother, Amitabha
莲花
Buddha,
传承莲生活
Pama Kumara, Living Buddha Liansheng,
敬礼金刚萨，
homage to Vajrasattva,
敬礼火天神，
homage to the fire deity or fire Agni Deva,
师尊师母，还有
Prime Master
会长、
Shimu,
处长、
TBF
各位上师、
Chairman, TBF
教授、
Directors, all
法师、 讲
Masters,
师
Senior
同胞，
Reverends, Reverends,
还有分堂
Dharma
代表，大
Instructors,
家晚
Dharma
上好，
Assistants,
晚上吉祥，
Chapter
阿弥陀佛。
Cultivation Venue Representatives. Good evening to everyone.
有听到我的声音吗 ？OK 吗？
Can everyone hear me clearly?
好像有一点 lag。
Sounds like there's a little bit of
今
time
天这
lag.
个背景
Today's
出了一点问题，请大家包涵，所以背景是法华堂的背景。下一次看看能不能
today's
改
for
善。
today's lesson,
那么
there's a little bit of
我
an
们直
issue
接
with
进入
the
主题，看到那个
virtual
小的
background. So this is the
PPT 的
background
第一页，
of Fa chapters, Fa Buddhist Center's altar.
哦，这个
So
是
let's
第一页
look
吗？
at
不好意思。
our PPT now, and let's go to the first page.
那么在分享这个第3章第1节，这个主题叫做护摩法的殊胜以及利益之前，
So this lesson
我
is
想
about the
先
extraordinary qualities and benefits
询
of the
问一
Homa
下大
ritual.
家的
Before I
想
begin,
法。
let me
我
first
相信很多人
do a
对
quick
这一
survey
堂
and
课
find out what you think.
都有很大的期待跟憧憬，
I'm sure a lot of
但是你
people
的
look
出发
forward
心
to
可
this
能每
lesson,
一个人是不
but
一
what
样。
is your
我想多数人被这一
pace
堂
of
课所吸引
motivation
的
or your
原因，是因
intention?
为
I feel a lot of
觉
people are
得
interested in this
护摩
lesson
是一个很
because
隆重、
they
很
think
殊
that
胜的一个
Homa
仪
is
轨。
very
大
is
家
an
往往在
extraordinary
护
ritual,
摩的布坛、护摩
and
的
a lot of
器具，
people are
还有这个
attracted
火像
to the
这些东
setup
西
of the
给吸
Homa
引。
altar and also the
然而，在经
mudras
过这一
and
堂课的讲解
the
之后， 我希望大
fire,
家
the flames of the Homa.
这个护摩
But
法
after the
的
class, I
根源，
hope that
还有里面殊
everyone
胜的
will
法义，
have
以及护摩
a
法要
deeper
教导我们真正
understanding
如
of
何
the profound
透
meaning
过
of
这一门
Homa, its
这一门
true
修行走
significance,
向解脱大道。
and you
这才是
can,
我们
through
真正
this
应该要
lesson,
把你的
progress
心神
forward
放进
to
去的
the
一个
path
重
of
点，
liberation.
也就是
And
希
I
望
feel
大
that's
家
the key of the
不
lesson.
要这个
Instead
只是
of
被一些外在的
being
这种形
attracted
式
by
给
the
迷惑掉
outer
了。
appearance
我
or
想
the
这不好，
form
因
being
为在上课以前，我有听
dazed
过
by that.
一些
Before the
场合，
lesson,
比如
I
说
heard
有人说
some myths
护摩
or
比水供殊胜，
some people
护摩
think
比
that
会供殊
Homa
胜。
is more extraordinary
底下
than
来
water
不要质疑。
offering or
其实
more
上完这堂课，
extraordinary
你就
than
知
or
道
more remarkable
每一个
than
法
feast offering.
每一个仪
But
轨
after this lesson,
都
you will
有
know
它
that
的
every
深远的
sadhana
奥秘所在。 希望大
has
家
its
让我们一起来
has
学
its
习。
profound meaning.
第一页，
Now let's take a look at the first page.
在这个师尊传授护摩法的这个过程当中，还有包含
When
大
Grandmaster
家
was
上课前
transmitting
看得到的讲义，会发现师尊有提
this
到一
Dharma,
段，这个护摩
Grandmaster
法它其实不是一个普通的
mentioned
法门，
that
而是非
Homa
常
is not
高
an
端的法门。
ordinary Dharma, but it's actually a very advanced level kind of Dharma. And in Chinese Tantric Buddhism, as well as Japanese Esoteric Buddhism, as well as the current True Buddha school Tantric Buddhism, you need to have a certain level of foundation before you can practice Homa. Especially in Shingon Buddhism, part of Japanese Esoteric Buddhism, you have to first cultivate the 18 great mandalas yoga. What are these 18 mandalas? When you hear this term, a lot of people will be confused. What does it refer to? So in very simple terms, the 18 mandalas yoga, it comes from the Vajrasekhara Sutra expounded by Mahavairochana Buddha. So it refers to the mandalas of 18 Idam deities or 18 yogas. And there are many rituals from Dharma protectors, Dakas, Dakinis,
像降山式曼陀罗、金刚宝冠曼陀罗、普贤瑜伽曼陀罗
for
等等
instance,
的
these
非常多的
are
诸尊的曼陀罗。
the all the
为什么要先
mandalas of all the
修护魔法
various
以前，你要
deities,
先修
the
18
Buddhas,
会、18
Bodhisattvas,
道。
Dharma
你的
protectors,
用意
so on.
是在于
Why
教
do
导
we
人
need
群
to first,
在
why
修
do they
护
need to
护魔
first
法
cultivate these
之前，
before
你必
cultivating
须要
Homa?
对
Because
这个本尊法的仪轨
you
有
need
非
to
常纯
have a
熟的基
very
础，也就是
um,
换句话说，你
strong
在修习护魔
foundation
的时候，
in
理
the
论上
practice of
你就要
Idam
以本
yoga
尊身、
already.
本尊口
When
以
you
及
are
本尊的意
practicing
念在行
Homa,
使
you
这个护
already
魔
need to
法。
be able to
你
do
不
this
是一个凡夫
um,
在行这个护魔法，
merging with your
这功
Idam.
力对
So
于
you're not
做
practicing
护魔
Homa
是有
as
很
an
大的要
ordinary
求。
mundane
那么
individual,
修习了
but
18会以
so
后，
Japanese
紧接
esoteric
着讲义上
Tantric
大家也可以看
Buddhism
到，你
has
必须
very
要先
strong
修习开场戒
requirements,
念诵
has a
法、
strong
金刚戒念诵法这两部
requisite
曼陀罗
conditions
的念
for
诵法，
practicing Homa.
作为这个基础，你才能够再进一步修学。
And you
那么
need
什么叫做
to
开场戒
also
念诵
practice
法
the
和金刚戒
recitation
念法？
sadhanas of the
这个
Garbhadhatu
这
as
张
well
地图
as
基础的右
Vajradhatu.
侧有这个
On
表
the
格，
right
大家可以
side
参考一下。
of
我
this
也是简
slide,
单
there
跟大
are
家讲，
two,
所谓
there's
开场戒
image
的念诵法里面，你必须要有
in
以下
the
几项
recitation
深入的学习。
sadhana
第一
of
个，
the womb realm
月轮
mandala.
观，
You need to have
日
an
轮观，
understanding of the
本
mundus
尊的种子字，
visualization, the idam
梵字
seed
的观修，
syllable,
每一个
visualization of Sanskrit
从这
syllables,
个我们说的三段法身，本尊
the
的种子字，本尊的莲花，然
Dharmas,
后它
the
的
three-stage
各
Dharma
种三
arising
类型的曼陀
visualization,
罗，图像
all
型的曼
kinds
陀罗、大曼
of
陀罗，你必须要有
visualization
一
of
个很仔细的
mandalas. You
观
need to
修
be able
心
to
得，而
visualize
且
them
在
very, very
开
clearly
场戒
and
念
in
诵法
detail.
这个仪轨当中记载，
And in the
字句句
sadhanas,
句清晰，顺逆无碍。什么
every
叫顺逆无碍？也就是正的写，
sentence or
负
line
的
has
写，
to be
不管怎么样的写，
written
从什么角度写，
very
你都可以
clearly,
在刹那之间，你
and
都可以把它观想得清楚。
whether
而
it's
且
written
要
horizontally, vertically, in
修
whatever
习
form,
这
you
个
need to
本
be
尊
able
法
to, in an
的本
instant,
尊，
visualize them
你
clearly.
跟它有一定的相应
And
基础，还
you
要
need
有
to have
发
a
菩提
certain
心。
level
这
of
时候
yoga
身
union
体
with your
本
idam,
身，身
and
心
your
清净，这
body,
才
your
叫做
mind,
有
they are
开场戒念
purified.
诵法的基础。
Then
你
this is
修完开
considered
场
the
戒念诵
foundation
法，进一
for
步
the
你还有
Garbhadhatu
金
or
刚
womb
戒
realm
念诵法的
mandala
基础。什么叫
recitation
金刚戒
sadhana
念诵法？
before you
以
can
前在密
proceed
宗高僧
to
地
the
图的时
Vajra
候，师父有
realm
提过，
mandala.
在密教里面的念诵其实是很重要的，
And
有
in
四
the
种念
great
诵法。第一
treatise
种叫音声念诵，也就是我们
of
平常在诵
the
咒语，
stages of the
长咒、
Tantric
短
path,
咒，每一个本尊的长咒、短咒、心
there was
咒，还
mention
有发
of
前
you need to
咒、
be familiar
安
with
立
the
咒，
long
还有它的中途
mantras,
结
the
末
short
修完
mantras,
咒
the
语
heart
都要
mantras
能
of the
够
visual of the
如实
deities,
念
as
出
well
这些
as
字字句句是清楚的，
each
而且最
line,
重
each
要的是，
word, they are
你
all
发的
very
音要
clear.
是传
The
承咒心，也就
pronunciation
是你
that
的
you
根本上是传授给你什
your
么？
pronunciation of the
你要念什
mantras
么？
have to
这是第
be
一
in
个
accordance with
音
your
声念
lineage.
诵。第二个
So
金
this
刚
is
念诵，
vocal
是纯
recitation
密合，
and
然
also
后你念，但是不出声音，这个叫金刚
when
念诵。
you do
第三
Vajra
个阶段，
recitation,
三不文字念
you
诵。
don't, it's
你
not
在
audible,
念咒
but
的时
it's
候，不是只是
reciting in
念
your
咒，
mind.
你要观想这
And
个
there's
本尊的
also
种子字，
recitation
在
where
乐
you're not
轮
just
当中
reciting, but
旋
there's a
转晃动，
visualization
依
of the
照你要
mantra
行法的习这一块
revolving
做
in front of you, and you need to visualize white light, red light, blue light, yellow light according to the type of sadhanas that you are um, carrying out, whether it's pacifying, enriching, magnetizing, subjugating. You need to be fully adept in all the sadhanas.
所以讲到这里，简单来讲，为什么要修18会，再修胎场界、金刚界念诵？
Simply put, why is there a need to first practice the 18 great mandalas yoga? Before you practice Homa, you need to first be the first bhumi of bodhisattvahood, or at the first bhumi or the second bhumi or even the third bhumi of bodhisattva's training. So our Grandmaster is truly compassionate, because in Tibetan Tantric Buddhism, even just to get to know the Vajrasattva Siddhana, it is already a very advanced level practice. Whereas in True Buddha School, it's at the very beginning, we already have access to Vajrasattva Siddhana, and if you have money, you have resources, you go and set up a Homa altar. But there are a lot of secret keys, there are a lot of very stringent details or requirements, strict criteria that we need to pay attention to. So this Homa is not to be taken lightly. Some people think that it looks very spectacular, it looks very good. There is a lot of it has a beautiful form. A lot of people are attracted by this outer form, and thus they want to jump into this practice. But they really need to first understand the true meaning, the profound meaning of this Dharma. What is the underlying motivation that one needs to have? If you don't know what is the true meaning, the profound keys and requirements of the Homa, then it can result in obstacles instead. The next image. This is an introduction to the fire deity. The True Buddha School University actually arranged for the introduction to the fire deity to be at the end of the chapter, but I feel that this one of the very key deities of the Homa, because apart from the main deity of the Homa, the Homa practice is reliant on the fire deity Agni Deva to for the Homa to be carried out. So Grandmaster and the celestial beings of they have very great affinity. For instance, Grandmaster's son and daughter, they are the princess and prince from Di Shi Tian in Indra heaven. Before Mahatma Kumara descended into the Saha world, he went to a lot of different heavens. So Grandmaster has a deep affinity with the various heavens who support Pama Kumara, who support True Buddha School, and also True Buddha Tantric practitioners. So Grandmaster has great affinity with he is able to save fire disasters, save people from water disasters through the 8 classes of supernatural beings with the support of various celestial beings. So we need to have an understanding of respecting the 8 divisions or classes of supernatural beings, the devas, nagas, and so on. There are the 12 divisions of heavens. And among these, the one that has the greatest connection with Homa would be Homa, with the Homa ritual would be the fire deity, Agni Deva. So Agni means fire, and this deity originates from Hinduism.
有所谓的吠陀
And
三神，吠陀经、吠陀三神里面的
there
火神、
are
风神、日
three
神称为吠陀三神，所以这么早的印度
deities,
教就尊崇这三
the
神，
fire
所以
diva,
护摩的起源其实是来
wind
自于印度
diva,
教。那佛教一开
and
始是
another
没
diva.
有
So
这
at
个
the
护摩习
beginning,
惯，但是因为释迦牟尼佛
Buddhism,
有
there
两个大弟子，
wasn't
第一个就是
this
目犍
practice
连，
of Homa,
第二个就是
but
舍利
because
佛， 他们是
Shakyamuni
从印
had
度教来入
Shariputra
印
and
度教，后
also
来受佛陀的感化
Mogul
皈依佛陀，
Yayana
所以
as
他们才有
two great
修这个
disciples
火
who
供的习惯。
started out with
释迦
practice
牟尼佛本来是不支持
of
去拜
other
火，
of
因为他们一开始
who
的
were
拜火
already spiritual
做
cultivators
火供的
before
最
they
原本的
became
目的只是为
disciples
了
of the
祭天，
Buddha. So they have this
而且
practice
有
of
血祭，譬如
Homa,
说他烧整块
and
羊、整块
in the
猪，
past they actually
整块牛，
sacrifice
只是做了
sheep,
祭天。
a whole
释迦牟尼
cow,
佛反对的
a
原因是，
sheep
你只
in
求
the
人间的
sacrificial
福报，
rite.
并不是解脱。
But the
所以
Buddha
释迦牟尼佛并不是
opposed
为
this.
了反对而反对，他是有
So he
因缘的，
didn't
是因为
oppose
当
it for
初
the
的
sake
印度
of
教的祖师
opposing,
不懂
but
得，第一个不懂得超度，
people who
第二
practice
个他
Hinduism,
只
they didn't
求
know
人
how
间
to
的
do
福报，
bridal
还是会
deliverance,
离
and they
开
were
这个人
just
间轮回，
praying
所以他
for
反对修火
blessings in
供。
the human
但是
realm.
后来
So
释迦牟尼佛
he was
为了教
initially
化众
an
生，
open
毕竟
opponent
大
of
儒弟子，他说你可以
he
做，
did not
但是要把这
encourage
些
Homa.
护摩
But
的
later
意
on,
涵及意
in
义
order to
提升
deliver
到另外一
people,
个境界，也就是修后来的犯我合一，
he
你自己跟
there
火
was a
来有修
conversion
行，
in
这
the
个护摩
Homa
本身
practice.
你必须要把你的
Um,
灵性合在一起，
you
而且
need
还要发
to
菩提心
merge
去
your
广度众生。
the
这个
practitioner
是释迦牟尼
needs to
佛
merge
最
with
后的
the
教义，
deity,
所
the
以释迦牟
divine,
尼佛后来
and also there were
承
some
认
changes in the
护
Homa
摩火
rituals.
供，
So
而且还
in
称
the
赞
end,
火供会得到诸天的护持，
it became an
这是一
expedient
个
means to
最早的开始。
for
那么
cultivation.
这个法华堂这
So
里我给大家可以看一下这个照片上的
you can
火
look
天神，
at
但是
this
法
image
华堂有
of
一
the
只火天神，
fire
我举
deity.
起来给大家
We also
看一下。
have a statue of the fire diva at Fawa chapter. So I'll show everyone his image. And this is the image
那
of
么
the fire
照师
diva.
尊讲起来，在金刚界
And
它有一
in
个形
the
象，胎场
Vajra
界
realm,
也有一个形象，
and
那
he
基本
has one
上它
image, and
最
in the
后面就
Garbhadatu
是它
realm,
骑
he has
着
another image.
青色的
One of
羊，
his most
身体是
iconic
红色的， 它的法
parts
器
is that he's
有
riding on
青色
a
的竹子，
green
还有这个
sheep or ram,
三角形的
and
火焰。
there's this
密教里面
triangular
图
fire.
形是有代表的，
In Tantric Buddhism,
大家有修
images
过观音
have
身坛城
a
吗？
great
观
significance
音身
or
坛城
some
观修密轮，
symbolic
密
meaning.
轮是火，
In
就是要
Avalokiteshvara's
观想三角形的火，所以密教里面三角形就
disaster
是代表
averting Siddhana,
所以火
the
天神的
triangle
法器，它
represents
有一个火
fire.
的铁三角，象
So
征它
the
是火
fire
天神。
diva has a
大
Dharma
家这里
implement,
景象可以
a
看一下。
triangular Dharma implement
那
with
么师
flames.
尊讲过，火
And
天在
Grandmaster
密
has
教
mentioned
12层的
that the
曼陀
fire
罗当中，
diva
它
in
在
the
东南
mandala
方
of the
东南
12,
角。当
he
火
is in
天唤
the
起的时候，
southeastern
会有两
direction.
种利益，每一个
There
人
are
身上
two
存
benefits.
在的能够
There
给生命
is
有最重要的一个东西，
the
叫做呼吸，也就是风。
two
还有第二个
components
东西
to
就是
our
温
life,
度，
which is
这两个
our
东西
breath,
让人的
our
生命能够一直流
breath
传下
and
去。 火
the
天唤
heat
起的时
in
候，
our body.
你的
These
身
are
体的热
two
气
vital components
回
of
升
our
回降，
life,
也就是它
and
是顺时的，冬暖夏凉。冬暖夏凉就是该热的时候你的身体热，该
when
冷的时候
it's
你的身体会感觉到舒服。第二个不逆时
冬暖
节，也就是
so
夏天的时候
your
不会过
your
热，可能
temperature will
外在的环
adjust
境。以
according
前
to the season.
十几二
So
十年前
in
曾经
winter,
师
it
尊有讲
will
过，太阳太靠近地
not
球了，太热
be
了，把地球
it will
烤
be
焦，
warm,
这
and
个就是
then
逆
when
的时
it's
节。
during
所以当
summer, it
火天
will
欢喜的时候，一切都是风调雨
cooler.
顺。然
So
而
when the fire diva
当
is
有
happy,
逆
then
火天
the
的时候，
seasons will
人
be
的身体会飞时增减，
there
不
will be
是
no
会飞时
disasters.
增减，也就是你在应该得到热的时候，你没有得到热；不应该得到热的时候，你产生了燥热，由燥热产生出很多种种的疾病。
However,
这个就是火天不开心的时候。
if the
第二个
fire diva
就会有
is
生命无
not
碍，
happy,
还
there
有
will
很
be
多的
fire
火灾，
disasters,
很
and the
多的
temperature in your
农夫
body
会
will
因为
not
火
be regulated properly. So it might be excessively hot, or it might not be. It might be
提到一个重要的概念，
too
倒不
cool.
是火天开
So
心或火天不开心，而是在密教里面的
there
思
is
想当
another
中，
point.
天神是有喜好的，天神
The
是有习
celestial
性的。
divas
所
have
以师父有讲
temperaments
过一句话，
and
密教里面
dispositions. In
在修
Tantric
供
Buddhism, when we are
供
practicing
佛、供
offering,
菩萨，
when
你
we
要
offer
供你
to Buddhas and
喜欢的
Bodhisattvas, the
东西，你
practitioner
喜欢
should
什么
offer
供
what
供
the
什么，
practitioner
菩萨
likes,
不会怪罪，因为
and
那
the
全
Buddhas,
部都是你的
Bodhisattvas
发
will
心。
not mind
然
because it's
而
all a matter of your
这个供
sincerity and
天后
devotion.
的诸尊，
However, when you are making
供这个
offerings
地
to
狱天，
divas or
供这地界
celestial
天的
offerings
神，
of
你
the
是要迎合
realm
他的
of
喜好。
desire, the realm of
所以借着这个因缘，要告
you
诉大
need
家，
to
师
offer
尊
what
在
they like.
他的文章当中
So
第
Grandmaster in
136课第
his
11篇有
book
提到， 我们密教
136,
修护魔，
there is a
第一
chapter
个你要
about
奉行火天神， 以
when we
外
practice
你必
Homa,
须
we
要
need
拿他
to
喜欢的
invoke the
贡品，
fire
什么贡品？
diva, and we
我
also
相
need to
信大
offer
家
what
都
he
知道，
likes. What
第一
kind
个
of
就是
offerings
黑
does
芝
he
麻，
like?
第二个就是
Like
白芝麻，
sesame,
这
white
2样
sesame.
东西是必
These
备的。
two items are
还
essential
有一个
items
重
in
点，
Homa. And
不是
also
只有开头供，结
not
尾也要
just
供。在
offering
有一
at
天
the
火
beginning,
天
but you also
祈
need
雨
to
当中，
offer at the
师尊
end, the
跟火天的对
conclusion.
话，火
So
天神告
Grandmaster
诉
had
佛
a
世尊，
dialogue with the
密
fire
教里
diva,
面修供养，
and the fire diva
真佛
told
宗是
Grandmaster
全世界数一
true
数二，
Buddha's goal
远胜
is
过于藏密及东密，因为如师尊教导的护魔法是世界
because
第
of
一 number one， 很多真佛宗
Grandmaster's
的寺
teaching of the
坛会
Homa
都在
is
修
number
护魔，
one.
这
This
是非
is
常好的。
beyond
所以火天
Tibetan
借着
Tantric
这个机缘
Buddhism
告
or
诉
even
佛世尊，
Japanese Tantric
供
Buddhism.
养火天
So
神有2样
making
东
an
西，第一个就
offering
是白芝
to
麻，第二个就是黑
the
芝麻，
fire diva, two
还有一个
offerings you
重点，
cannot
在
lack,
点
white
手
sesame and black
之后
sesame.
供，
After you light
在
the
你
fire,
结束之后
you need
供，
to offer
在
these, and
手
before you
天使
end,
的
you need
前
to
后
offer them
都
again.
你可以供这个
And in
修
between,
法的本
you
尊或
can
本尊的眷
offer
属以及一切的眷属
to
无数
the
次，
main deity
但
of
是
the
前
Homa
后
and
要有一个
also to
承先
the
启后的开
retinue
头
of
跟
the
结尾，
main
这个
deity.
是火天
But
神
at the
交代的，
beginning and
这个
at
必
the
须
end,
让
you
大
need to
家知道，
offer the
这
white
个
and
是
black
很重要的
sesame.
事情。
So this is a very important
那
key.
么师尊
And
在第
Grandmaster
131
also
册第
mentioned
10
in
篇
Book
当中
131,
有提到
another
火天
chapter,
神的手印，我们可以看一
the
下这个
mudras of the fire
下一页的
diva.
讲义吗？
So we can look at the next slide.
在好，这页第3
Okay.
131册操作的怪谈
In Book
第10
131,
篇阴阳引擎当中，师尊讲火天印
he
就是这样
mentioned
子，
the
右手张开五指，
fire diva mudra,
左手
which Master
右
Lianing
手
is
大拇
demonstrating
指
now.
按住中指的指节。为什么
The
按住中
thumb
指
is
叫做
pressing
火天
on
印？
the middle
因为
finger
密教里面的手指头
of the
每一个
right
关
hand.
节每一个手指
Each
是有
finger
它
in
的代
Tantric
表。
Buddhism
以
represents
这个
something.
手为例，
For instance,
地
this hand,
水
the little finger
火
is earth,
风，
then followed by
所以按住中
地
指就是
水
活指，
water,
按住无
fire,
名指就是
地
水指。
水
所以以前
wind,
佛
and
教
emptiness. So
做
when you
大
press on the
殿
middle finger, the
是
middle
以
finger
是
represents
水指
fire.
无名指
And
沾
so
水
when you are
去
sprinkling
洒
great compassion Dharani water,
你的
you use
庭
the
院你的
forefinger,
禅场的
which
树。
represents the element of
火天
water
的印，因为
to
它是火
purify.
属火，你是
For
按中
the
指，
fire diva,
这
you,
个就是
you
火
press
天手
on the
印。
middle finger. This
水
is
天神
the
的印
um
就是左手的
for
食
the
指
water diva's
勾下来，
mudra,
这是水天印。
your left hand,
好，这
you
个是题
press
外话，只是我们
the
今天修护
index
学护
finger
魔
presses
是
down.
火天印，你必须要
So
懂。
today we're learning the
它
fire
的咒语，
diva's
师尊也
mantra,
在文章
mudra,
中有
sorry.
写过，
And
它的
Grandmaster
咒语
has
是
mentioned
Om
his mantra,
阿依南语梭哈 Om 阿依
Om
南语梭哈。
Ai
以这个 Om 阿依南语
Nanyu
梭哈
Soha.
为真佛宗的传承咒音，因为
And
在
this is the
其他地方还有
lineage
记载着很
of
多
True
咒音，
Buddha
但是
school.
师尊
There are
是
many
以
other
这个 Om 阿
mantras
依南语
mentioned
梭哈
elsewhere,
为
but
最主
this
要的
is
咒语。
the
那么
mantra
好消息是，
in True Buddha school
在真佛宗
for
中
the
部网
fire
站
diva.
上，你如果到真佛法
And
藏的地方搜
True
寻
Buddha
火天神，
school's
会跳出
administrative
一排
network
资讯。
website,
好
if
消
you
息
type
是，
in
你不一
the
定
Chinese characters
只
for the
可以
fire
请
diva
师
火
尊
天
亲
神,
冠，也可以
you
请师
will
尊导冠，也可以
there
请
is
上师代师冠。
there are various
那么
links
我建议
and
大家
mission, and you can actually request for an empowerment for the fire diva if you are if you want to practice Homa, if you're able to request for an empowerment from Grandmaster personally or remotely, this will be bad. You should request for an empowerment to practice. And the image is as what I shared just now. If you're not able to visualize, Fire Diva told Grandmaster that if you're not able to visualize the Fire Diva's image clearly, it's okay. You just think of fire, the fiery blazing flames, and that would also suffice. And these are two talismans. The Fire Diva, there are also secrets pertaining to the Fire Diva in Grandmaster's talismans. So in Taoism, there is the 火德星君, which is literally translates to the Lord of Fire. If true classical disciples, when they're practicing Homa and they print this talisman and they place it, they will be able to receive a blessing from the Lord of Fire, the Taoist Lord of Fire. So
这个口诀以后，能够去推广，能够去使用，这个是静思重法实修。接下来下一张照片，除了火德星君护身符，还有
apart
密教
from
火天
the protective talisman of the earlier talisman, there is this second talisman, which a lot of this is a spontaneous revelation from Grandmaster's heart, and there are 12 talismans that protect a mandala. So this is a protective talisman of the Fire Diva. In Tantric Buddhism, there is emphasis on defense and protection. So Vajra flames, Vajra net. Do you remember recently, either 1 or 2 years ago in the Q&A section, somebody asked Grandmaster about the Vajra flames mantra, and Grandmaster also reviewed the mantra for Vajra fire, and it's Om Betsa Brahma Soha. Brahma means the Brahma heaven, Brahma Diva. Om Betsa Brahma Soha. Why is this the Vajra flames mantra? Because in Vedic literature, the fire is the mouth of Brahma.
那么这个咒语怎么用？用在什么时候？第一个，你做披甲护身做完
When
之
you're
后，
doing armor protection,
加念
then you
金刚
can
火咒，
recite
等于
this
奉请火天 来
mantra,
升起金刚火焰，
which
为
is
你
equivalent
做
to
任何的结
invoking
界。
the
第二个
Vajra
应用， 在这边
fire
讲的金刚墙、金刚
as a
网、金
second
刚
level
我们
of
最常听到就
protection.
是4重结界，有金刚地
The most
基、
common
金刚网、
we
金
hear
刚
of is
墙，
the
有
fourfold
双重
boundary
金刚火焰。
protection, and there are
大家还
2
记得吗？
layers of
金
fire,
刚地基、
the
金刚网、
Vajra
金刚墙
foundation,
四周的金刚墙。
the
为什么要
Vajra
点2次
walls.
火呢？右手的
Why
食
do you
指点
light
左手的手
fire
掌， 点1
twice?
次火，吹一口气，这个就代表升起金刚内院的火。再用左手的食指点右手掌心，再
You
吹一口
light the
气，
fire
点火，代表
with your
点起
index
金
finger
刚外
on the
院
other
火，
hand,
这是2层火焰，
and
内
then you
院的
blow
火，
on it,
外院的火。
and
这个时候
that
可以
is
再
the
加念
inner
金
court,
刚火
the
咒。
fire in the inner
那
court,
么好消
and
息
then
是，这
you
个金刚
switch
火
to the
咒
other
也
side,
是可以起死根本上是摇
reverse
灌顶的。
to the
这
other
些东
hand,
西都跟
and you
火
blow
天
on the
跟
hand,
火有
and
关，
that's
所以
the
一并跟大
outer
家做解说。
outer
对
level,
火
outer
篇有个基本认知，
layer
我
of
们可以
fire
开始讲
protection.
到底什么是护膜，护膜的利益是什么。下一页，
So what are the benefits of Homa?
好，火供，好，上页，再上页，对，火供的时候一定要奉请火天神。
During a Homa, it
对，
is
这
essential
些
to
重
invoke
点
the
不一
fire
一，
diva.
到时候大家可以回去再
So
看，我只是把重点先提出来跟
I
大
will
家讲。
share the
下
PPT
一页，
with everyone, and you can look at it later on in
再下
greater
一页，
detail.
再下一页，这边讲了火供
In
的起
this
源，还
chapter,
有
it talks
火供
about
的
the
时候一定要
origin
奉
of
请火天
Homa
神。所以有一次
and the
是不是在
invocation
彩
of
虹桥去
Homa.
做护摩？那师尊开示的时候说，
Um,
这个刚
once
刚烧护摩的时候，
Grandmaster
这个炉子一直 biang biang 叫，原因是因为火天神来跟
made
他
a
讲，你们没
discourse,
有奉请我。然后那时候师
there
尊问
was
师
one
友，
session of
检
Homa
查了一次，
where
真的没有奉请火天，所
there
以
was a
护
loud
摩是透
sounds
过
coming
火
from
的
the Homa
火
altar,
神做传
and the
达，
fire
所以
diva
没有
actually
奉
came
请
to
火
tell
天。这个在
Grandmaster
我们之后的仪轨
they
会
had
提
not
到，
invoked
这个
him.
很重要。
So
那
Grandmaster
么
asked the
护摩
the
的
MC to
有
go
浅的解
over
释跟
what they
深的
had
解释。浅的解释就是刚刚提
the
到的，
invocation.
火为梵天之口，你
So
把
fire
物品
is the
投入
mouth
火中
of
去祭天，
Brahma.
这个就是最基本的火供。然而在释迦牟
So
尼佛的教示以及
in
历代地
Shakyamuni's
藏密的
teaching
祖师爷、密
and
教的祖
also
师
the
爷，
teachings of
更
the
深入的
Tibetan
教
Tantric
导，
masters,
他赋予它更深层
they
的意义。它深的意义就是
that
行
there's a
者
more profound
护摩
meaning.
火以及本
The
尊三
practitioner
者合一，
claims
令
Homa
行
fire
统
and
一，
also
仪
the
轨
Idam
成
or
熟
the
一体，
principal deity.
非常高度专注的修炼，也就是真佛宗现在教护魔法的这个要诀。外供诸尊，外供本尊
It
诸
is
天，
the
金
outer
刚护法
offering
护持
of
诸天，
the
内
deities
法无名，
external,
贪嗔痴
but
种种的
it
罪
is
业
also
染
the
到身，
inner
去除一
burning
切
away
障碍
of
之后达到极
one's
致，
own
这个才是现
obscurations
在
and
真
karmic
佛弟子
hindrances
修习护魔
so
法
that we
最
can
重要
attain
的
liberation.
也最高的
So
追
this
求，
is
就是在
the
这里。
greater
那么师
meaning
尊有
and
提到，
purpose of Homa.
护摩是密教三大成就当中的其
It
中一
is
个。
one of
第一
the
个就是
three great
持名成就，
accomplishments of
第二个就
Tantric
是
Buddhism.
三摩地
The
成就，
first
第
is
三个就是护摩成就。
accomplishment in mantra
那
chanting,
么
the
以
second in
前呢，我
Homa, and the
在
third is
听
accomplishment
中
is
道次第
Samadhi.
广论的时候，
And
我
in the
以为
past,
这
when I
三个
was
成就是
listening
分开来谈
to
的，直到我了解了护摩
逆宗道次
啊，
第
姐姐
广
做了那
论,
么多
which
护摩
is
法会以后，我
um,
发现
a great
这
treatise
三个
on
成
the
就，
stages of the Tantric
尤
path.
其是护摩， 根本就
I
是
thought
把
these
这
three
三
were
个成就
separate,
融合在一起，
but
也
these three are
才知道
actually
原来为什么
integrated.
在真言宗里面那么要
And I
求
realized
你行持护
why
摩大法以前，
in
要
Shingon
有
Buddhism
18道
they
金刚持
had
戒、
the
金刚戒
requirement
念
to
统
first
得日本
practice the
种种
18
记，
great mandalas
因
yoga
为刚
first,
刚也
and you
提
need to have
到
a
护
very
摩
strong
法
foundation in
要
this
求是绝对的精神
because
统一， 你要
Homa
如何在
requires
绝对的精神统一下行法？
absolute
你如果
focus.
没有在持名
Your
上，你如果没有在
whole
三摩地
mind
上，
is
你的
in
禅定力、
concentration and
你的
samadhi.
定力、
You
慧
need
力、
to
解
have
脱
a
力，
very
真正把它
strong
在每一
meditative
个当下拿
stability
出
and
来。
wisdom.
你要
If
如
you
何
don't
真正在护
use
摩当
these,
中产生你的力
how
量？
will
那
you
个
be
根
able
本是不
to
可能的，是
generate
无稽之
power
谈。所
in
以可
the
以讲，
through the
护
Homa?
摩是融合持
So
名
the
成就
Homa
以及三摩地
requires
成就的
the
最
integration
好的一
of
种表征。
accomplishment and mantra chanting
那
as
么师
well
尊有
as
提到，
samadhi.
密教里面的有
And
很
in
多的供
Tantric
养，
Buddhism, there are a
包
lot
含
of
了水供、
offerings,
被
uh,
供、烟
including
供，
water
再来就
offerings,
是
smoke
火供，
offering,
有
feast
很多种的
offerings,
方法
fire
提供给密
offerings.
教弟子学习。
So these are all
那么
different
不
forms of
应该
offerings
去
that
分
Tantric
别他们的功
practitioners
德，而
can
是师尊有讲
utilize,
过，他
but
传
one
水
should
供法
not
的原因是因为
differentiate or
很多
discriminate
地方并
against
不一定适合
the
做火
various
供，
kinds
但
of
做水供就
offerings.
不会常
In
常
some
被邻
places, it's
居
not
检
really
举啊，被附
possible
近的
to
这个社区
do
检
fire
举。
offerings
水
because you
供
might
也有它的
receive
含义，
complaints from
那么会
neighbors
供
or from
也有
those
它
in the
在密教历史
community.
上的
So it may be necessary or more viable to
不要在
practice
这个
water
场上
offerings
去分别它的
or
功
other
德，
offerings.
只要你跟
So
这个
we
法有
don't
因缘，
make
你的
we don't
因地
discriminate
制宜，因
between
时制宜，一
which
切的
kind of
法缘具
offering
足，你
has
只要
greater
具足一切的
merits
仪
or
轨，你
benefits,
尽
as
是
long as
供
the
养实修，
conditions are right
那就
and
会
you
产生它的
respect
功
your
德。
lineage,
所以不要在这
you
些
honor the
修
guru, you
法的仪
treasure
轨
the
的
dharma,
形
you
式上做
practice
分别。你一旦分别了，
truly
你在
and
第一开始
diligently.
的缘起已经错了，那么后面的肯定不会有好的结果，也是跟大家分享。那么这个师尊有提到
Grandmaster
护
has
摩的
mentioned that
有3种成就，
there are
第一
three
种
accomplishments
护
from
摩可
Homa.
以上等成就，
Homa,
就是持明
the
心愿
higher
成
kind
功
of
飞行。
Homa,
第二种成就就是
allows a
中
person
等成
to
就，
become like
得
a
到大成就，
Vidyadhara, like a Siddha
长
with
此
master of
不
mantras
期。
and travel
下
freely
等
through
成
space.
就
Intermediate attainment would be one
是
gains
天
great
所许
spiritual
愿，
power, becoming capable of concealing
但是
one's
这个是
form
师尊早
traces.
期的文章记录的。
And the
其实
lesser
直到
attainment would be
后面，
accomplishment in
直到
karma
师尊
siddhana,
开
such
始
as
到
pacifying,
包含
enriching,
从刚刚到现在的
magnetizing,
这一本书
subjugating, and so on.
这个世界里
These
面，我
these
们应
were
该去知
mentioned
道，
in the
其实
earlier
它的
books
上
by
等成
Grandmaster,
就远
and
远超过了持
we
明仙火。
realized later on
最
that
大的
the
成
higher
就
attainment of
就是
Homa
将你
is
的本
far
因
greater than
跟这个
Vidyadhara,
宇宙的佛
but
性空性融合在
you
一起，
merge with your
达到
idam
同时的
and
解
you
脱。
merge
所以远
with the
远超过持明仙
universe
人。
to
所以护摩的
attain
法的
full
成就是
liberation.
非常殊胜
So
的。
the
那么
the highest
师尊在
accomplishment
接着
from
讲，
Homa
你要
is
如何达到这种
can
殊
be
胜呢？
very
第一个，行者自己
profound,
本身的力量，
and
诸天
your own
护持的力
power
量，还有
together
本
with the
尊的
power
力量，
of the
三者
celestial
融合在一起，
divas
产生了
and the
天
power
人
of the
合一
fire
跟感应
will
高效的宇宙
generate
能
yogic
起。
union
所以师尊在
between
早
man
期
and
讲解护摩的
the
时候，他
individual
是
and the
用
divine.
宇宙的能量跟
Yogic union
行者自身的能量产生了一种对流现象，
So there will,
用宇
through
宙的能
this
量场
communion
来讲
between the
这个概
individual's
念，
power
是不
and the
是
power of the celestial
非常殊胜
beings,
玄
the
妙的事情？
deities,
你要体会到宇宙的能
it
量，
will
你必须
generate
自
a
己在
kind
做
of
护摩当中
power.
有心得，仪轨
You
纯熟之后，你的
when
心
you are
真正达到
fully
了一种
familiar
通明的
with
境
the
界，你才能够
Siddhana
去觉受这
and you
种
can
这种灵能。师
merge
尊的
with
文章当
the
中是讲
universe, the
是这
cosmos,
样讲的，
then you
你
can
如果
truly
有灵
then you
觉
will
的
be
人，
able to
你就
experience
可以
Dharma
感受
flow,
到这股灵能。但就是
that
借
kind
着
of
这句
spiritual
话，我要再跟
energy.
大家讲，会
But
后
I need
会
to
课
also
后一定会
mention
很多人问，
at
那
the
么
end of the
上师
lesson,
啊，
a lot of
我
people
没有
might
灵
ask,
觉，觉
I
受
don't
不
have
到这股
any
灵能
super
怎么办？
sensory
那我要去怎么样去找这个
powers, or I'm
宇
not
宙的
able to
能量场
sense anything.
啊？我是不是要看到
How
佛
do
菩萨
I
下
do
降？
I need to
我
first
是不是
see
要看到
Buddhas
这
and
个本
Bodhisattvas
尊在护摩
descend
火
to
当中显
see
现？
the
我是不是
Ida
要看到
manifesting the
光
fire,
啊，才叫做这场护
to
摩
see light
有产生法
before
力？
the Homa
观念上是这样
manifests
子。
any power?
当你真正的
The
身口意
idea is this:
清
when
净，
your body,
精
speech, and
神
mind is
统一
truly
的时候，
purified and your mind
这
is
一些
fully
感
focused,
应的现象，
all
宇宙的
these
能量自
um,
然而然的会显现
phenomena,
出
all
来，
these
而不
supernatural
是你在一开始
phenomena
去
will
追求，
naturally
这个
appear.
是本末
So
倒
it's not
置。
something that
所
you
以我们修
chase at
习
the very
任何的
beginning,
法，包
but
含在
these
修
will
护摩，
naturally
最
appear
重要的
during
是
the course of
仪
your
轨
practice.
是不是正确？
When you
你
first
的
make
顺
sure the
序是不是
Siddhana, is it
正确？
correct?
你的
Is the
发心
sequence
是不是
correct?
正确？
Is your
你的
intention
摆
correct?
设的坛
Is
城
your
是不是
altar
如法？
arrangement, is it
你是不是
in accord
真
with
正的
Dharma?
身口意在恭敬这个本
Is
尊？
your body,
这个
speech, and
才是
mind
真正重
truly
点，
in
而不是
reverence
去追求那些感应。
reverence
师尊
to
讲
the
的这
Ida?
些是一种
Um,
宇宙当中的实相，不是叫你
what
去追
Grandmaster
求那
mentioned
样的现象。
are true
这个也是一个
phenomena
很重要
of the
的
universe, but
一
he's
个
not
事情。
asking us to
所
chase
以
after these supernatural
我在
phenomena.
读完这一段的时候，
So after I
我刚
read this
好一直
passage,
在想，我到
I
底要
was
怎么
thinking
跟大家
about
来解释
how
这
should
种
I
加持
explain
跟这
this
种
sort
殊
of
胜的能量。
empowerment to
我
everyone.
刚好看到
And I
空海
chanced
大师
upon
讲的
this
一句话。
passage
空海
by
大师
Master
讲的这个
Kukai,
加持，
who
怎么针
explained
对加持这两个字
empowerment,
去做解释？我这边跟大家分享。
the concept of
空海大
empowerment.
师讲，
He mentioned And
所谓的加持就是。
so-called empowerment is when the Buddha's Bodhisattva's light in the universe are reflected on sentient beings' hearts, because the practitioner is sincere and the Buddha's
把这两个
Bodhisattva's
重点
compassionate
加起来，
blessing,
叫
when
做
these two
加持。
combine,
因
this
为它
is
最重要的大力
empowerment.
经跟金刚顶，
So
大力经
in
的
the
全名叫做
Mahabharata Sutra and the
大力如来
Vajrasaikara
神变加
Sutra,
持经。
the full
大家
name
千万
of
不
the
要忘了，这个叫什么神
Mahavajrachana
通？神通的基础，神通的
Chana
来源
Sutra
是
is
来自于
the
你
Sutra
绝
of
对的执
Mahavajrachana's
着、
awakening and
绝
his
对的信
empowerment of
心，还有
miracles.
发心的正确，它才
It
会产生神变，
is
而不
dependent
是随随
on
便便哇来一个
your
鬼通鬼的跟你讲
sincerity
什么
and
神
also
来跟你
having
讲
a
什么，这个
correct
叫做神变，不是
motivation,
的。
having correct
所以
underlying
我又
motivation.
在
So
我的
it's
图腾
not
上写下来四
um,
个字，叫做
a
双向
manifestation
分
of
布。
supernatural power
这
from
四个
ghosts
字
or
就是
spirits.
现代
It
人最
is
喜欢讲
dependent on
的
having a
双
correct
向分布
view
的爱情。
and
你爱我，
motivation.
我也爱你，只是
Um,
你要恭敬佛菩萨，你
it's
要全
mutual,
心
it's
全意的
reciprocal. You need
投
to
入
have
你的
full
心力，
total
我就是
utter
它自然而
reference
然
for
会把
Buddhas and
全心全意的
Bodhisattvas.
加持灌注
And
给
when
你。
you do
这
that,
个
there
就
will
是
be
身意
wholehearted blessing
口
from
意
the
意密
Buddhas and
的成就。
Bodhisattvas. This is the
什么叫身意
foundation
口密
for
意密？
the
师尊也讲过，
accomplishment in the three
在护
secrets
摩
of
法里
body,
面，
speech, and mind.
本
In
尊
Homa,
就代表心的
the
清净，
Hidam
护
represents the
摩果
purification of the
就
mind.
代表
The
口
Homa
的清
altar
净，
represents
而
the
行者
purification
本身
of
呢，就
speech,
代表身
and
的
the
清净。
practitioner
把这三
represents the
者加起来，
purification of the body.
就是三
When these three
三业
merge,
转三
this
力业的
is
修
the
行方法。
transformation of the three karmas into the
那么
three
刚刚
secrets.
已经把
And
外护膜
just how we
自己
mentioned about the
所
external
供养的外
Homa,
护膜当中
when you
要
throw
供
the
养诸天
offerings
的概
into
念，已
the
经跟大
Homa
家讲。
fire,
再
there's
更
that
进一步跟
concept,
大家
but
讲，
a
就是密
deeper
教里面
on a
谈
deeper
护膜，
level,
除了外护膜
when
以外，
Tantric Buddhism
还有
talks
更
about
深层
Homa,
的意义
about
叫
the
内护
external
膜。
Homa,
什么
the
叫内护
deeper
膜？
meaning of
以
the
自
internal
身为坛
Homa,
城，
when your own body
进
is the
进
Homa
到
altar
火光三
and
昧
you
当中，
enter into the firelight
以什么
samadhi,
为护摩木？
what
什么为
is
这个燃火
the
的柴薪？
Homa? What are
以
the
自己的国内
combustible
贪嗔
materials
痴
for Homa?
为这个燃料。
Your own three
借着
poisons
佛菩萨的
of
光明， 把自己的烦恼
craving,
消除掉。
aversion,
透过气脉明
ignorance.
点的修
These
持，
are
把你的
the
三脉打
materials
通，
that are burned,
升起浊火，
and
浊火
your
通过
inner
你的
fire
七重轮，全
rises
部
through
产
your
生真正的
your
光明，
seven
以自己的
chakras
光明
to
跟宇宙的
generate
光
true
明结
light,
合起来，
and this
叫做
light
内护膜。
merges with the
这
light
个
of
时
the
候大家就有
universe.
疑问了，
This is internal
哇，我
Homa.
还要区分
Then
外护膜啊、内护膜啊，
maybe
到
you
底要
might
怎么
now
修？
ask, oh,
其实它
how do
根本
you
上是
practice the
教
internal Homa?
这
Then
个
there is the
佛
external
法
Homa.
密
How do
教
you practice all
的时
these?
候，他就已
So
经
when
讲了，
Grandmaster was
火
teaching
控的口
about
诀是
Homa,
行者
the keys of the
我本
Homa,
尊三者合一。
that one of
当
the
你
keys of
真
the
正
Homa
做到这一
is
点的时候，
the Homa
其实就
fire,
是把外护
the
膜以及
principal
内护膜
deity, and
合
the
在一起，是一，
practitioner
不是
merge,
二，
three
不
merge
是
into
把这
one.
个两个分开修。
So
最重
these
要的
are
就
not
是精
practiced
神合一，
separately; they are
这样
practiced
子你
together,
不
and
止圆
you
满
need to
外
have
在的加持，
total
你也圆满
focus,
内在
total mental
内
focus,
法的修持。
so that you
这个是
can
密
perfect
教护摩
both the
非
external
常大的一
Homa
种
as
入
well
口
as
之
the
法，
inner Homa.
最
This
后他
is
能够
the
达到真正
greater,
成佛的
greater,
这
deeper,
个
profound
这个
meaning
果
of
位。
Homa, which will allow
那
a
么讲
practitioner to
完了
attain
外护膜、
Buddhahood
内
in
护
the
膜，他
uh,
写的这
in
些殊
the
胜的来由，
present body.
跟大家
So
谈。
apart from this
讲
extraordinary
拿来
qualities
做什
of
么功
Homa,
用？
the Homa
最
can
简
also be
单的
used
就
for
分成
in
四个，
its
就是息
the
灾、
most
生意、
simplest
敬爱以及修持。
terms. It would be
当然，
used
息
for
灾的这
pacifying of
个
disasters,
范围
enrichment
也
of
很广，
blessings,
生意也很
magnetization
广，
of love and
敬爱也是
respect,
很广，降服
subjugating
也是很
of
广。看你要
enemies
求什么事
or
情，
one's own
它
poisons,
各自还有
whatever
细
you're
分。
praising,
但基
whatever
本
you're
上，
praying for,
息灾就是治
you
病，生意就是
pacifying
你的
would
财富
pertain
得
to
到
maybe
增长，
healing
你
of
的富裕得
illnesses,
到增长，
enrichment would be
包含
increase in
你的寿
fortune
命会
or
往
wealth
上，
or
也
blessings
是
or
在增益。
longevity. This
敬
is
爱
also part
关
of
爱里面
enrichment.
包含国家与国家
Magnetizing,
之间，
it's
城
not
市与
just on a
城市之
personal
间，
level, but it can
小
also
至家
be
庭，小至夫妻，
as small as
这些小中
between
大敬
couples
爱，都
or
能
a
够圆满，
family,
都
but it
能够
can
成
also
就。
be as great as
降
between
服
nations.
包含退
So subjugating can be about dispelling adversaries, enemies, karmic creditors, exorcism of maras or ghosts and spirits. These are part of subjugation.
那么，世尊早期
And
传护
there
法的
is
时候，有
also
讲过息真怀诛各自都有本尊的。真佛宗
each
里面的息
of
该法
these four
以观世音
activities
菩萨
have
为
their
本尊。
own heatants. For instance, pacifying would be Avalokiteshvara, enriching yellow Shambhala, magnetizing would be Triti Buddha Mother, subjugating would be Padmasambhava or Achala would be the main deity. So this is just something for your reference or knowledge. And there are also certain times that you conduct a Homa. So before and after a retreat, before a retreat, you are praying for the various heavens, devas, and Buddhas, Bodhisattvas to protect or the retreat to be successful. And at the end, you are thanking them for their support. So before and after a retreat, you can do a Homa. And then you can also use a Homa to pray for lineage blessing or yogic union, success in practice of Dharma, or if someone has an illness, interference from spirits, or a consecration of a temple, or purification of a place. So there is a very wide use for a Homa as long as you are very familiar with the Homa ritual. So this is just something for you to know. How do we choose the Homa deity? Just as what I mentioned just now, the four kinds of activities. So it depends on the deity's vows and their merits, how they're related. When you're starting out practicing Homa, we can start with White Mahaparamakumara as the basic, at least 100 sessions of Homa with White Mahaparamakumara, or 200 sessions. As an as a master, you need to do 400 sessions of the Homa just to begin. Grandmaster has also mentioned in a discourse, the Nagaraja, the Dragon King Bodhisattva, cannot be a deity of Homa, but during a Dharma ceremony, Nagaraja can be invoked during a Dharma ceremony. So a lot of people have asked me a question about this. So I would also recommend Ayushmats and masters that when they are consulting Grandmaster, they can provide greater in-depth explanation of why, for instance, the Nagaraja Bodhisattva or the Dragon King Bodhisattva cannot be a deity for Homa ceremonies. So this will help everybody to have a better understanding. My own understanding of the sutra pertaining to Nagaraja 24 hours. He has the suffering of heat. He feels his body is very hot, and beneath his dragon scales, there are always worms feeding on his body. So this is the hindrance, being born in the dragon form. And the third suffering that he experiences is being food for the Garudas, feed on dragons. So the Nagaraja Bodhisattva, apart from the Nagarajas manifested by Buddha's Bodhisattvas, Nagas, the dragons, as a member of the dragon race, they would suffer from these three problems. Grandmaster transmitted Nagaraja Dharma with the Nagaraja as a main deity. So why is it that Grandmaster can have the Nagaraja as a Homa deity, but for masters, for Dharma, for disciples, we cannot have Nagaraja as a Homa deity? The Homa fire. Sorry, I forgot to mention something earlier. The Homa fire also represents an individual's mind, and individual's mind, when it's still full of discursive thoughts, the fire is distracted fire or the fire of desires, a mundane fire. It's not a pure fire. But the fire, the Homa of Grandmaster is different because it's luminous, it's pure, it's full of wisdom, it's refreshing, it's cool. So there is a difference between the Homas conducted by Grandmaster versus ordinary practitioners. So my own understanding is, I hope if there are any errors, I hope someone will correct me. But a practitioner, when they're able to merge with the universe, with the fire, and everything becomes emptiness, shunyata, no matter who the yidam, the principal deity of the Homa is, it's okay. But if we're not yet able to reach that realm and we state we are still, our minds are still distracted, full of discursive thoughts, then the Nagarajas would also, they might also encounter obstacles if they are the Homa deities. So, but why is it that we can still invoke Nagarajas in our invocation of the deities for ceremonies? When you can invoke them when you do the transformation of offerings, but they are not but they cannot be the main deities of Homas. However, the Nagarajas, Dragon King Bodhisattvas can be the main deities of water offerings and also feast offerings. They can be one of those who are invoked. And also the five well deities and also the wealth deities of the five directions and also the earth deities are also not suitable to be Homa deities. Grandmaster has also mentioned during another Q&A session. In Taoism, there are a lot of deities, and also in Hinduism, there are the three deities. The god of creation, Brahma, there's also the god of destruction, Shiva, and then there's Vishnu, Brahma, Vishnu, and there's also Hanuman, there's goddess Kali, and there's Sarasvati. They can be the main deities of Homas, and the main purpose would be offering. However, if you are if they are the Homa deities, you first need to have obtain lineage from Grandmaster. You need to first have the lineage from Grandmaster for these deities because you need to perform the mudras and also you need to recite the mantras. If you have not received the lineage empowerment from Grandmaster, then your Homa is not in accord with Dharma. So even though Grandmaster has mentioned that deities from Taoism and deities from Hinduism can also be Homa deities, but in according to the rules and guidelines of Tantric Dharma, you need to first have lineage empowerment from Grandmaster. And so this is where I will end for as an introduction to Homa. So Homa is about benefiting self as well as others, and it is the transformation. There are originally 6 lessons, but I am going to condense them into 3 lessons. And in the next 2 lessons, I will mention about the Homa altar, the significance of Homa offering items, and also how do we pray during a Homa, as well as mudras, mantras, the ritual, and things to pay attention to when we practice the Homa. So I hope that we can continue to learn together. Thank you very much, Master Lianing, for your very detailed teaching during today's lesson. And now, without further ado, let's go into the Q&A segment of today's lesson. Please hold on a moment. Here there is a question from Zoom. Lotus Lianhai asks,
念诵是指要决定修的护摩祖尊的观修咒轮字月轮观 就是要熟练的吗？第二，
For
金
the
刚经常
Garbhadatu
诵前行后
recitation
语，
Sudana,
这
does
里
that
行
refer
者必须
to
能是在
um
做护摩开始
you
前
need
就必
to
须
know
是能与护摩祖
the
尊合一，才
mantra
是那个
wheel
标
and
准。
mundus
请上
visualization
师
and
先
be
回答这
familiar
个
in
问
these.
题。
The second part is about the
好，阿弥陀
recitation
佛，请
Sudana
提
of the
问。
Vajra
是这样
realm
的，我刚刚之
mandala.
所以提到
Okay.
这个18道，还
The
有代
reason
表
why I
心
mentioned
经
about the
金刚界
18
这两部念珠，
mandalas
我
yoga,
是在讲在
I was
中部
referring
的
to
真言中
the
当中的要求，
Shingon Buddhism.
这是
I
指
was
的什
referring to
么？
the requirements
在
of
真
Shingon
言宗里面，
Buddhism,
他们要修
Japanese
护魔法，
esoteric
护魔
Buddhism,
法是他
not
们最大的，
not
在
pertaining
修
to
他们
true
这个最
Buddha
大的
Tantric
法之
Dharma.
前，必
In
须
in
要有
Japanese,
这些的
Shingon
东西
Buddhism,
为基础。
the
然而，你破坏
Homa
了这个
is a
东
very
西，就会变
advanced
成
high-level
鬼堂。
practice. So
开场
before
戒
they
律宗
begin
法是只
the
要
practice
决
of
定修
Homa,
的
they
护魔
first
祖
need
尊
to
的观
fulfill
想。
these requisite
在
requirements,
开场
these
戒律宗法里
conditions,
面，有
which
很多的护
include
尊
the
都
recitation
需要
sadhanas
守念，它
of
的种种是月食，它
Garbhadatu
的
as
真
well
言
as
也都
Vajradhatu.
需要守
So
念，
you
可
need
能
to
呢
be
也包含你
familiar
要修
with
的
Mundus
护摩祖尊，这
visualization
个
and
不一规
also
定
the
是指
mantra
你
wheels.
所要修的那一种，
So
而是
it's
指
not
所
just
有的
pertaining
种子是
to
所有的月轮观，你
the
都要非
deity
常
of the
清楚
Homa,
熟练的，
but
是只
also
要这个
all
为基础
the
为前提。
deities. So
金
this
刚
is
界一次
a
诵前行是指行者必
prerequisite
须在护
for
摩开始
cultivating
前
Homa.
就必须能与护摩祖尊合一，没有错。在
For
金刚
Vajra
经念释法
realm
里面是这样要求的，
recitation
所以我
sadhana,
才
the
刚
requirement
刚
is
才
that
讲，
before
在
you
真
start
佛
a
宗里
Homa,
面，
you
我
need
们
to
弟
first
子
attain
是
yogic
幸福
union
的，
with
因为
the
在
Homa deity.
皈依以后
So
得
in
到护魔法的时
True
候，
School,
你就
we
可以
are
开
very
始
fortunate
修
because
持。
once you have
但
received
是
empowerment for
前提跟
Homa,
大方
you
向，还
can
有这些
start
显化
practicing
的必
Homa.
备的要素，
However, there
其
are
实最好
requisites
还是建立
that we
在
need to fulfill.
你能
So
够
it
对
is
一切
so
仪轨都
best
非常
to
熟
have a
悉，
very
包
firm
含这个祖
foundation,
尊
be
的三
familiar
宝法
with
身，也
the
就是月食、
Siddhana,
种
the
子、
Mundus
莲花、是本尊
visualization,
的车
the
身，你要非
mantra
常的清楚，
wheel, the
因为这些东西
visualization,
都
the
是
three-stage Dharma rising
最好，我想
visualization
我们
of
讲
the
最好
Idam,
的前提下
and
是这样。
the most
这样我不晓
ideal
得有没有回答
case
到你的
scenario
问
would
题， 阿
be you
弥陀
need
佛。
to be very
好
familiar
的，
and
第二个
have a
问
strong
题，上
foundation
师
of
可
all
以
of
先回
these.
答吗？
我刚刚回答了。
哦，回答了，好，不好意思。好的，那我这里还有一道是
And
YouTube
the
的
next
问
question is
题。
from YouTube. It's a
优酷信这
question
边问，请问
which
阿弥陀
mentions
佛，请问上师，
um,
星期日是否主持护
when
摩？作
Grandmaster
为观
presides
众
over
我
a
们
Homa
是带
ceremony
着
on
怎样
Sundays
的
as
观
the
念
audience,
和如
what
何
kind of
体会？
mindset should we have as audience, as the
好，阿弥
participants
陀佛。
of the Homa ceremony?
那真佛弟
Okay,
子非常的幸
as
福，每一个
True
周
Buddha
六师尊带
disciples,
领同修，每一个
every
周日师尊在
Saturday
台
we
北
are
主
able to
持护摩。
attend the
那每
the
一个
group
礼拜天
cultivation
的护
sessions
摩
by
都非常
Grandmaster,
精
and
彩。
on Sundays we
作
can
为
take
观众，
part in the
只
Homa
分成
ceremonies
2
by
种，
Grandmaster.
第一
As
种
the
在
audience,
现场，第二
if
种
you
不
are
在现场，
you
就是
are
我们
there
现
in
在谈到的
person,
三
and the
位一体。
second
那
you
在
are an
现场
online
跟不在现
participant,
场有没有什么
what's
差？
the difference between the two?
没有差，
There
都
is no
要做
difference
同
whether
样的
you
观想。
are
什么样的观想？
there in person
就是
or
刚刚讲的护魔
on
法的最重要的体
participating
会。 你
online
不管在现场还是不在
remotely.
现场，
So whether you're
你
there
都
in
要想你
person
在
or
现场，
you're remotely, you
然
have
后
to visualize yourself
这
as
个
being
护魔
there
火
in
以
person
及根本上
and
师所主
visualize the
持的这个护魔
fire
法的
and
祖尊，
also the Homa
还有
deity
你自己
and
行者本
yourself
身，三者
merging
在护魔当中合一，
into the Homa
合一之
fire,
后，
merging to one,
你才来进
and
行
then
种种奇珍
you
怀珠的祈求，譬如说
start
长咒法，
supplicating
最
for
主要它
various
的功德
kinds of
作用
activities such
就
as
是祈求长寿。
pacifying,
我们祈请长寿
magnetizing,
佛加持
enrichment,
你
or
是金枝
subjugating.
长寿健康，
So,
也
for
加持
instance,
我们长
Amitayas,
寿健康
we
啊，
pray
身体
for
如在
Amitayas
如故。
to
假设这一
bless
尊
Grandmaster with
的护摩的祖尊
longevity,
是这
extend
个
his
注
longevity,
重
his
冥想，
lifespan.
那你就
If
在这
the
个
deity,
精行
Homa
统
deity
一
is
之后，
Achala,
你可以再
when
做
you
祈
have,
求一样
when you are
这个
fully
冥
focused and you're in that state, you can pray for, supplicate for maras to be dispelled, for obstacles to be cleared. Whatever you are praying for, supplicating for, it has to happen only after all three merge, all three referring to the practitioner, the Homa fire, and the Homa deity. And
YouTube 跟 Zoom 都好像是没有提问了。
currently
那我们
there
还有一点
are
时间， 所以
no
我再
further
等一等，大家
questions.
看还有没有提问。
So I
那
will
在这
wait
里
a
我来
little
先
while
做一下报告，就是下个星期我们会
for if there
将
are any more questions from
第
the
一
audience.
周7月
So
4
let
日
me
呢
just
将继续跟
remind
大家
everyone
有
that
提
there'll
到
be
的
no
第
lesson
3
next
章
week,
第2节，
and the
就是会讲
lesson
谈附魔的
after
行
that
程布
would
置，
the
跟
next
主
lesson
题
will be
的
on the
行
4th
动
of July,
所以大家记得
where
留守。
Master Lianing
那我
will
在这
share
边呢有
about
私看
the
到
symbolic
Zoom 这
meanings
边
or
有
the
一个提问，
significance
但是
of
是
Homa offerings,
啊、
and also about
印尼语
the
翻
other
译，
parts.
那我们就保留在下一个星
There is a
期。
question which is
我
in
们再帮你
Indonesian,
提
which
问。
will
那
require
YouTube 这
translation.
边有一个
So
新
we
的
will
提问，
ask Master
请
Lianing
大家稍等一下，我要 copy paste 上来。
to answer that next week, during the next lesson, not next week. And there's another question. So just give me a moment while I paste it on the slides.
好，大家再稍等一下哈。YouTube 这边有
This is a
Jasmine 师
question
姐的提
from
问，
the
上次好
YouTube
请问
channel
父母
from
法
Dharma
会上
Sister
拍
Jasmine.
摄到佛菩萨的火焰形象，意
During
味着该佛
the
菩萨
Homa
显现了吗？
ceremony, sometimes
请教圣
we
维达。
may capture images of Buddhas, Bodhisattvas in the fire. Does that mean that the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas have manifested? Originally, I intended to teach about this in the third part of this chapter, but since you have already asked this question, let me answer it now. So there are two parts to this. The first part is, how did you know that you have captured the flames of Buddhas, Bodhisattvas in the fire? How do you define capturing an image of the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas? So Grandmaster has taught that sometimes Avalokiteshvara has manifested in the fire, or Amitabha or Achala or the four Yuga kings manifest in the fire, because in Homa, the Homa is a mandala, and the most important is that we're praying for the Homa deity and the Homa deity's retinue to descend into the Homa altar to receive and accept the offerings. So the Homa altar would be the mandala of the deity, and in theory, the deity would be in the fire. However, only those who have the divine eye or the Buddha eye, such as Grandmaster, would truly be able to know whether the deity is truly in the fire. So a lot of times we think that the fire really resembles Amitabha or like a dragon or like Golden Mother, but this is very subjective. It's based on our own personal understandings. So there it does have its own meanings and then in symbolic or its significance in the color of the Homa flames and the shape of the fire and the image of the fire. However, this is not the key point of Homa. You need to the focus should still be, is your sadhana complete? Is it correct? Is your underlying motivation correct? Is your mantra recitation correct? So there are too many possibilities pertaining to the fire and the appearance of the fire. So if you do capture some very extraordinary images of light, very, very specific images, maybe you can fax or send them to Grandmaster for his validation of the image of the phenomena. There are three more questions from Zoom and on YouTube, so let me share them here. On YouTube, there's a question about if we take part in a feast offering or other Dharma ceremonies, not a Homa, when there is no Homa, what kind of visualization should we do as participants of the ceremony? Amitabha. Just now we mentioned about the merging of the three into one that is specific to Homa. ceremonies. However, for instance, if you're participating in a water offering, then you switch the Homa fire to water. So if it's a water offering, then it would be you need to visualize the merging of um, the water offerings deity, the practitioner, and the water in the water offering altar, um, merging into one. And this water in the water offering altar is connected to waters in the rivers, the oceans, to the water in the celestial heavens. So it has its own offering, it has its own visualization. For a feast offering, it has many different kinds of visualization, but in the main sequence, there is also the visualization of the practitioner with the main deity of the feast offering. And the main sequence of the sadhana would be Ru Wo Ru, which is the merging of the deity into the practitioner and the practitioner merging to emptiness. The next question is, do we need to practice 200 sessions of Vajrasattva, Sadhana, and mantra recitation? I'm not really able to see what is the cause and or the thinking behind this question, but as a true Buddha school disciple of Grandmaster Lu, the foundation, the most basic would be the four preliminaries, the Vajrachitta Bodhisattva Sadhana, 200 sessions minimum, and also 100,000 times of each of the four preliminaries. So 100,000 times of the 100 syllable mantra and also the other preliminaries. Great Mandala offering, great homage, fourfold refuge.
获益良多，师尊法教尽施众法实修，所有的密法必须得到灌顶后才能实修。请问，如果同门不曾灌顶不魔法，
if a disciple has not received empowerment for Homa,
可否先了解后灌顶再实修？感恩上师。
好，阿弥陀佛，不知道
Can
不晓
we
得这位同
still
门
first
大德
understand
非常
and
赞叹，也佩服你的这个提问，
receive
谢谢你的提问。
empowerment
其实你的提
before
问也是我在
receiving
讲这
cultivation?
门课之前
This
非常
is
介意的一
whoever
件
this
事情。
disciple
理论
is,
上是没有错
I
的，
applaud
每一
this
个法理论
questions,
上
this
得到根
disciple's
本上师不
question
先灌，不
because
是摇灌，
in
而是
theory,
由
before you begin
法
any
给带
sadhana,
领
you
灌
need to
顶之
first
后， 你
receive
才具
empowerment
备
from
翻译
your
法
guru
的资格，
before
甚至
you
抵押
are
其他
actually
门
fit to
但
even
是
flip
我想
open the
教育出
sadhana
热心
and
生的
to
课，
understand the
不
details
可
of the
能所
sadhana.
有上课的人都
However,
有得到父母灌顶，这个是不可能的。
I believe that
这
it's
个
not
不魔法
possible
这门
for
课
all
程
participants
利益
of
还
the
是非常重要， 所以我
the
在上
lesson
课前，我是这样
to
子跟
have
师尊祈祷，
received
跟师尊
empowerment
报告的。
for
我
Homa
说
before
希望
attending this lesson.
佛菩萨慈
So
悲，
I hope
能
that
了
the
解
Buddha's
在我
Bodhisattvas,
讲课中
before
能
teaching
了
this
解
lesson,
这
I
是不
I
魔
prayed
法的
that
这个
the Buddha's
这个
Bodhisattvas
组
will
成
have
法门
mercy
的
and be
脉络，它的
compassionate,
历史，甚至包
that
含里面修法的口诀意
the
义，
students
最主
attending
要
this
是教
class
导大家静
will
思
have
共
an
法的实修
understanding
的精
of
神，还有不魔
um,
法的这样
and
的里面的体
honor
会。
Guru,
我也希望
revere
大家
Guru,
借着这个
treasure
经典
cherish the
也把握
Dharma,
这个
and
法
also
门
truly
本身
practice.
来
And
注
while
释现在的
Grandmaster is in the
赶快
world,
把握机会
to
去求根
quickly
本上师的清灌。
treasure this
但
Dharma
是
affinity
好消
and
息是，
pray for
这个
the
不魔法在这个
empowerment
过
in
程里面，
person.
根本上师是有许可
Grandmaster has
这些阿塞雷
um,
是可以代师传法，这个
allowed
也是我后面要跟大
masters
家讲的。
to
所以你
transmit
们
empowerment
像
on
我知
his
道的
behalf
大马玛尼
for
法非
Homa.
常
So I know that
非常优秀的，他
the
一直在
True
办
Buddha
这个护魔法的
Federation
培
of
训
True Buddha School
那莲花
Malaysia
上师
has
莲父
been
上
very
师、高上
active
师也都讲解过了
in
非常
teaching
多的护魔
Homa,
法
and
很
Master
多的
Lian
讲义，
Tai,
这个都
Master
很
Lian
好，而且
Fu,
那些上
Master
师们也都有拜师
Lian
拜
Hua
所
Chen
以
Su.
我
They
的
have
结论就
all
是，
been
如果
teaching
你还没
Homa
有
on
受过护
behalf
魔
of
法灌顶，
Grandmaster very
你能
actively
够给
in
师尊
Malaysia.
亲报你，你
And
就赶快
if
去
you are
求师
able
尊灌顶。
to
如
personally
果
receive
没
the
有
empowerment from Guru,
邻近
that's
的
the
道场，
best.
如果有
But
三法
if
阿
not,
塞雷，
if you
赶
can
快去
try to
求灌
receive
顶。
an empowerment from a
这个
teaching
就
and
是静思众
master
法实修
on
的
behalf
这
of
个
who's
里面
teaching
的
on
精
behalf
神，
of
所以我
Guru.
非
So
常谢
this
谢
would
你的
be
问题。那
part
么
of somebody who truly reveres Guru and treasures Dharma and also truly practices. However, if you have not truly, if you do not have the full Dharma affinities, you can still visualize Guru above your crown, and you are not stealing Dharma um, to take part in this lesson, but you are waiting for you just want to have a deeper understanding first, and eventually hope to receive empowerment to practice this Dharma.
像是刚才这位师姐，她是问，她有做一个
The
补
next
充，她
question
想问是不是第一次做护
is
摩
a
也要做金刚
supplementary
萨埵的护摩200坛，除了大白莲花童子？
照师尊讲的，就是我们护摩就是做大白莲花
is
童子
related to the previous question about the Vajrasattva
那你要不要做金刚萨
Siddhana
埵护
200
摩200坛？
times. It was referring to, does that mean that we need to practice 200 sessions of Vajrasattva Homa in addition to
那接下
White
来呢是
Mahapama
Zoom
Kumar's
的莲
Homa?
花有贤，
Another
请问上
question
师，我想问一下，神通中有5通是哪5通？
What are the 5 supernatural powers related mentioned in supernatural powers? There are usually there is 6 supernatural powers which mentioned by the Buddha. So Diva, clairvoyant vision or hearing,
好的，感恩上师。那接下来呢
and
是
also
Zoom 的
understanding
关
of
键
one's
题
past lives and
那
future
这里
lives,
请
and
问
also
请问上师，我们参加师尊的护摩法
and
会，
so on.
可以观
The
想
next
自我
question
火烧在
from
丹田，然后过炼
when
气或保平气，
a
就
disciple
可以
is, can we
念诵吗？
visualize when we are attending Grandmaster's
我其实
Homa?
不太清楚你这个
Can we
问题的
visualize the
目的，但
Homa
是
fire at
照
our
课本上是所传的
dantian,
保平气、保平气
and
的
also
休息
treasure,
自己独立的一
and
套
then
方
after
法，
that
跟护摩法
practice
是没有太直接正面的关系的。
treasure
你自己如
based
果要
breathing and
在
use
参
it.
加师尊的护摩法会，那
Um,
你把这个火观想进来，亲近你自己的
there
身
is
体，帮助你
Master
自己
replies that
平
there is
气
no
去
direct
运气，
relation
这个是
between
你自己个
the
人的因缘，
practice of qi
跟这个
with
保平
Homa
气应该没有什么
practice,
太大的关系。
treasure based
好的，
breathing and
感恩
Homa.
上
These
师。
are
好，
two
接下
separate,
来
but this
呢
is your own
是
affinity. However, there's
谢
no
谢老师
direct
代问，
relation between the
请
two.
问上师，如果
Another
护
question
摩当中产生了大量黑烟，此时
is
主持
if
者
during
该
a
如
Homa
何
ceremony
传
there
译
is a
应对？
great
会有灾难
amount
降
of
临
black
吗？
smoke generated, does that mean
这
that
个
there will
东
be a
西也是本
disaster?
来在后面的
How
课要
does
跟大家分
one
享的，那个
transform
顺着这
one's
个因缘。
mindset or
师
attitude?
尊也讲过，
Um,
在做护
Grandmaster
摩的
has
时候，
mentioned
除了
that
观
during a
象，
Homa,
也要观
apart
察
from
种种其他
observing
的现象，
the
包
shape
含
of
产生黑
fire,
烟。
we
但
need
是
to also
我们
observe
做过护
other
摩的都
things,
知道，
other
一场
signs such
护
as
摩下
smoke.
来，不可能没有烟的产生。 所
Um,
以
during
在
a
做护摩
Homa,
的时
it's
候，
not
第一个是
possible
要
for
避免
no smoke,
黑烟的产生，这个叫
so
做
we
预
need
防。
to first
第二
avoid
个，如
or
果它产
prevent
生了，
the
而且
generation
产
of
生的
black
非常
smoke.
多，如何对
However,
治？
if black
对
smoke
治
is
方面分成两
generated
种，
and
当
there is
下的对
a
治，
great
当下
quantity
的
of
这
black
个
smoke,
是力
how
量
do
是
we
非常重
address
要。
this
他要知道如何
situation?
在短时
The
间内
person needs to know
天冷也
how
好，
to, in a
或者
very
是
short
增加
time,
空气对流的燃
to
烧也好，
need to
去
either
把产生黑烟的形象把它
adjust
止
the
掉，这个
ventilation
叫
or
限走的动
circulation
作。
of wind
至于无
or
形当
the
中，
addition
理
of
论上
oil,
它产生黑
or
烟，就
they need
是
to know
它
these
产生
practical
黑烟的
things,
因果。
details for
其实就
how
是这一
to
堂本尊， 这
prevent
场护
black
摩的本
smoke.
尊，或者是护
Or
法神来告知
sometimes
的一种视线跟提醒。 不
the
管怎么样，
manifestation of black smoke
有
is
还
an
是没有，
indication from the
有
Homa
黑烟也
deity
好，
or
没有
Dharma
黑烟也好，
protectors
很多
pertaining
黑烟也
certain
好，还是
things.
很少黑
So
烟也好，
whether there is a lot of
主
black
持者
smoke,
与
little
参加
black
者
smoke,
都应该在
the
护摩法会结束
person
之后
presiding of the
持
Homa
诵他
ceremony
的
or
四字符咒， 去
attendees
做
of the
忏
Homa
悔以
ceremonies
及转化，这个是
ceremony
最重
need
要的
to
关键。所以每
recite
一
the
场
100
仪
syllable
轨最重要
mantra
的
and
就是那
repent
100声仪咒。其实
for
理论上
the
我们不可能
the Homa ceremony. It's not possible for us to have no shortcomings for in each session, to have no discursive thoughts at all. So we need to recite the 100 syllable mantra to make up for errors, omissions, shortcomings in the
好的，上
Sudana.
师，那我们还有最后5道问题。
The last
好，
5
这个是请问上
questions.
师如何
This
帮
question
助
is
与
how
行者
does
本
one
身合一，
visualize the
比
Homa
如
fire
本尊
and the
和行者
cultivator
合
merging
一，
into one?
可处于
For
本尊法的观
instance,
想，但每次
um,
想观想与火合
if
一，都觉得很难理解和体会进入状态。
So the person asking this question feels it's very difficult to understand and conceptualize the merging of the practitioner with the fire and to enter into that state. Master replies that for people in general, to visualize yourself merging with the Homa deity is relatively easier, but for some it might be even, but it might also be difficult because everybody has different karma and some have karmic hindrances. So it might be difficult to visualize merging with the fire. So let me share a little method. Grandmaster has mentioned that Grandmaster he would always go to the Homa fire and he would pat his body with after going over the fire with his hands. There is a key. When you are standing in front of the fire altar, what kind of feeling would you have? You would feel the warmth of the fire, the heat of the fire, the whole Homa fire. So usually if you are not the person presiding over the Homa, you are sitting further away from the Homa, you're not able to feel the heat of the fire. So the visualization of the fire is easy, but it's actually harder to feel or imagine the heat of the fire. So try to feel the heat of a Homa fire, and then when you return to your own seat, when you're trying to visualize the fire, add on imagine the heat of the Homa fire, and naturally there would be the generation of a kind of energy. So if you find this difficult to do, then just try your best that the fire is on your body. That's as long as you do that
明白，
as
谢谢
best
上
as you
师。
can,
好，
that
接下
is
来
still okay.
是 YouTube 的提问，上师好。
The next
在问
question
多
is
数
from
人
the
的法
YouTube
会中，
channel.
进
During
奉
a
温
Homa
口前闻到
ceremony,
以圣物及受
everyone
祝福的香水味
is
道，是不是很多天行母或仙女降临了吗？记得那
while
是
we
真
are
母的
sitting,
护摩法会，谢谢。
I
请继续
remember
回答。
smelling
我们在
waves
做
of
附魔当中有很多
fragrance,
的故事，其
perfumes,
中有
and
不
does
少
that
的
mean
故
that a
事
lot of dakinis
不管
or
是
celestial maidens have
男诸
descended?
尊、女诸尊、
I
白
remember
诸
that
尊
is Golden
分
Mother
灵尊
Homa.
都会供香水，
Okay, Master
所以
Lini
都会有一
replies
阵子
that
是
no matter
洒香水。那么我们
who
供
the
香
Homa
之
deity
后，我会
is,
跟大家讲，
there will be the offering
前
of a
面、
lot of
左
fragrances
边、
and
右
perfumes.
边、上面、下
Um,
面，你都
in
要
front
供
of
水，
us,
代表
left,
十方的
right,
诸佛，
above,
你都以香水
below.
去供
This
养。
is
这个时候，自然而
symbolizes that we
然
are making an
空气
offering
会流
to
通，那你一定会闻到香水味。 这
deities
个
in
跟
all 10
风行母、仙
directions.
女降临没有什么
So
直接的
this
关系。
there is no direct
好
relation
的，
between
感
the
恩上师。
descending of
好，接下来呢
dakinis
是
and
众
celestial
生的
maidens
莲花文
because
拷问，
at that
请问
moment
上
you would
师，世
smell
尊
the
召唤护
fragrance of the
摩火后，
perfumes when we're
其本
making the
身
offerings
有
of the
包含
fragrances.
什么
The
部
next
分？
question
是否有
is
包含息增还珠、超度的9品莲花印、灯茶果的手印、画
when
护摩
Grandmaster gives the
图
empowerment
显
for
字真言。
homas, does it what does it encompass? Does
谢
it
谢大家的
include
提问了，因为你们的提问都是问我后面课堂上要讲的。
Thank you everyone for
这个
your
问题是
questions.
这
All
样，
of these questions are actually
师
related to
尊
what I will
侵犯的
cover
护
in
摩，
later parts
你
of the
可以比的手
chapter.
印包含什么？ 师
What
尊
does
在
the Homa
2021 年
empowerment
还有
involve?
2007年
In
的法会上有讲过
during
息
Dharma
增
ceremonies
怀
in
珠
earlier
的
years,
手印，而这息增
the
怀珠的手印也
mudras
不
of the
是
four
师尊教上
activities
师的息增怀珠，是师尊演示给大家看 说同门也可
are
以比的。我先来比一次，习、
this is pacifying,
真、
this is
坏，
enrichment, this is
这
magnetization,
四个
and
同
subjugating.
门你接
These
受过观点
four
也可以比，
uh
这四个可以。
these four
他教
mudras
导上
as
师，
a true Buddha school disciple
还
you
有很
can
多
do
奇
it.
珍怀珠，
For masters,
所以不
those
要看
they
人
have
家
a
比
lot
就跟着
of
比。
other
超度
mudras,
的九品莲
so
花
you
指
cannot just
不可以，
randomly
这
follow
个是上师观点才可以
mudras
比的。
that you see.
花、香、
The Bado
粉、
deliverance mudras, for
茶、
example,
果，这
basic
个可以比。
practitioners
五种
cannot
人手印可以比。
form those mudras. You
然
can
后画护
practitioners
摩金
can
牌符，
perform
这
the
个可以
five basic
画符灌
offerings
顶，跟护
mudra.
摩灌顶
They
没有关
can.
系。有出
Regarding
真
the
言，
drawing
是
of
你要
talismans,
灌
that's
顶
a
或
separate
出
empowerment
动冥
for
王，
drawing out talismans. The
出
nine
冥王法的
syllable
灌顶，给师尊
nine
亲灌才
syllable
可以，因为解除真言也不可以摇灌，除非你
mantra
受过真言
empowerment
上
is
师
a
不动冥
separate
王法的
mantra
亲灌，
empowerment that
你
you have
才
to
可以解
personally
除自
receive
身，
from
否则你也
Grandmaster
不
Lu.
要比。所以
So
除了
do not
奇珍
form
怀珠、
those
花香灯茶果
mudras.
以外，你
So
可以
you can
比的就
only
是
perform the
八大
basic
本尊，还有长
mudras
品
of
师尊，
the
还有
five
你
basic
受
offerings and
过
also the
你受
four
过根本上师
um,
灌顶的这些诸尊的手印
mudras
可以比。
that
其
that
他的
master
你觉得很好
demonstrated
看的、
yourself.
很移花的， 你不
The
要比。
other and also the
好的，
mudras of the
谢
eight
谢上师。
Yidam
那接
deities,
下
eight
来
principal
呢，
Yidam
在
deities.
Zoom 这里
The
是还
other
有学
mudras that
员，
you may look
请
very
问
good,
上
but
师，
if you
这应该是
you
有
are
人
not
说左手
you
代表
cannot just
智慧，
randomly
所以用
perform
左
them.
手来做供养，将
The
奉
next
品
question is the left hand. Some people
像
say
是
that the
上
left
手
hand
轻度的
represents
供养，
wisdom,
想听
and
听
if
上师
you
的看法。
好，
use the left hand to perform the
那今
offering
天
and
我不
throw
要
the
再替
offering
所有
items
人说了，
into
因为本来
the
就很多人说，左手代表智慧，
the
在
offering
佛教里面
the Homa
确实
altar,
有这种说法，确实
then
在
does
禅
that
宗
mean
里
that
面
you're
有讲，
using
左手代
wisdom
表
to make
智
an
慧，
offering?
右手代表烦恼，所以有定义以左手压右
So
手
there
上
there are
作
some
为你
some
禅定印，有这种说法。但
there
是
is
像
a
印教
saying
里
that
面，
the
阿
left
弥陀
hand
佛的手印
represents
的定义
wisdom
是
and the
右
right
手
hand
在左手
represents
上，但难
affliction.
道阿
So
弥
when
陀
the
佛就
left
是
is
烦恼
over
来发
right,
自己的智
it
慧？
means that
不
you're
是
using
的，所有
wisdom
所
to
有的定
overcome
系，所有的
afflictions.
咒语
However,
都
Amitabha's
会有
mudra
它的
is
代
the
表。
right hand is
所以
over the left
当
hand. Does
左
that
手
mean
代表
that
智慧，右手
Amitabha
来做供养，将供
no, it's the
供奉
reverse
中，
for
我
Amitabha?
相信这
No,
绝
so
对是没有这个说
um,
法。譬如
I
说，
I don't
我
think
的惯
that
用手
there
是
is
右撇子，
for
我还
instance,
规
I
定
am a
自己
right
一定要
hander.
用左手去
Do
剃
I
头。
does that mean I have to use the
那
left hand
已
to
经
throw the offering
已
item
经没有
into
已
the
经没有
Homa
顺
fire?
势了，已经不习
Then
惯了，
it's
这样
not
OK
something
吗？
that you're comfortable with,
我
right?
告诉你如何
So
完整的回答
how
你
do
这个问
you
题，
how do
本
I
来后面课堂
answer
会
this
提到的。
question? I intended to answer this at the
护
end of the
摩火的
lesson.
仪轨当中，护摩
In
的仪
the
轨当中启
offering
动
Homa
这600
offering
多粒珠，
Sadhana, there is
那你把
the
它念出来给我。
mala beads, Chuan Chu Ming. There's the blessing of the mala beads, or
转珠
the
明，
Chuan Chu Ming.
左手拿念珠，
Your
观
right
想
hand is
本
holding
尊
the
发
mala
光，
beads. You visualize the
右手拿
deity
念珠，观想本尊
radiating
发
light.
光。为
Then
什么
you
要
hold
从
with
左
your
手到
left
右手？
hand
照根本上
and
师说，
visualize the
就
deity
是把你
radiating
的
light.
智慧
Why
本
do you
质移
change
植到
from
跟
the
你沟
right
通，放光
to
来
the
加持
left?
你。
Because
左
you
手
are
是清净，
invoking the right
右手是清净。
you are invoking the
转
deity of your
完之
right,
后，一
and
切
then
清净之
you're
后，你把这个念珠
purifying
挂
your
到
right
你自
hand
己
and
身
then
上，
purifying your
全
left
身
hand.
都清净。
And then when
这个
you
时候
put the
哪有分
mala
你
beads
左
over
手
your
是智
own
慧，
body,
右手是
then
烦恼，右手是
your
烦恼，
entire
左
body
手
is
是智慧的
purified.
分，
At this
全部
moment,
清
what
净。
difference is there
不管你用
of
左
the
手
right
右手，
hand being
全
purified or
部
left
都
hand
可以。
being perfect, or the right hand or
好，
one
谢
hand
谢大
visualize
家，感恩上师。
representing
那最
wisdom
后一道
and
问
not
题，
the
因
other?
为时
So
间
your
有
whole
限，
body
我
is
们最后一
purified.
道问题是来自
And
YouTube 的子
due
琪
to time
师姐。
constraints,
子
let's
琪问
have
了，
one last
请问
question,
上师护摩
which
供
is
养当
about
中，招
during the
请
Homa
至
offering,
尊
there's
佛菩
invocation
萨、
of the Homa deity,
地
the
神龙马
Buddhas,
是有次
Bodhisattvas,
序的吗？感谢
the
上
earth
师。
deities,
好，
the Dragon King Bodhisattvas? Is there a sequence? Yes, of course. You will first offer to Guru Buddha, Grandmaster, then the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, the Jakas Dakinis, the various divas, and then the earth deities. There is a sequence. Thank you, Master Lining, for your answering the questions. for answering so many questions today. Thank you so much. And we will collect and answer some of the questions during the next lesson. And another reminder, there is no lesson next week. The next lesson will be 2 weeks later on the 4th of July. And let's thank the Indonesian interpreter, Dharma, Brother Tucheng, and also all the volunteers helping out quietly behind the scenes and in front of scenes. And now you can now all turn on your microphone to say farewell to Master Lin Ying. Thank you, everyone.
上师，
谢谢大家，谢谢上师，
上师，
上师，
安上师，
谢谢大家，
安所有，
谢谢
祝福，感
谢谢
恩
雷尼上师，
谢谢主持人，谢谢阿弥陀佛，再见，
谢谢上师，谢谢大家，
谢谢上师，谢谢大家，
谢谢上师，太感恩了，安上师，感恩，感谢。